Hello, family. I'm so excited to talk to you guys today. Um, Looking forward to this topic that God has placed on my heart to share with you guys. So I hope you enjoy. To those who will catch the live and the playback, welcome. Thank you so much for joining and hanging out with me. My topic for today is when two become one. What a relationship is for and what it is not for. So I'm going to focus more so on what it is not for, because I feel like it just makes more sense to start there. Hello. I'm going to get started. As always, I like to start with a word of prayer. So I'm going to do that first, okay? Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to fellowship, to glorify you, to bring people to you, and to worship you. We thank you for your word. We thank you for your wisdom. And we ask that your presence be made known on this live. Speak through me. Let me decrease in order for you to decrease. Or me decrease in order for you to increase. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Okay, so excited. Okay, when two become one. So I think it's a good idea, at least for me, before I start thinking about dating or getting into a relationship, I want to make sure I have a solid idea, understanding of what a relationship actually is and what it's for. I think personally, based on what I have seen, I think a lot of relationship failures have to do with one thing, and that's not really understanding what a relationship is for. Like, what's supposed to happen in a relationship? What should be the expectations? And especially if two people don't really have a solid understanding of that, or if they have two conflicting expectations, I think that's kind of, you just kind of set up to fail. So I like to break things down into simple terms, just so I can make sure I have an understanding. So I want to talk about 3 things that relationships are not for. Okay? 3 things that relationships are not for. So the first thing that relationships, or specifically romantic relationships, but I think this can apply to a lot of other relationships also, but here I want to talk about dating relationships. So relationships are not for healing past traumas. That is not the purpose of a dating relationship. Now, I'm not saying that you can't meet someone great and that they can't assist you in some way on your personal healing journey, but it is not the responsibility of anyone else to heal you from past traumas or baggage or things of that nature. That responsibility is 100% your own. It's my own, it's your own. We all are responsible for our own traumas and experiences. I think to expect someone to be able to not only handle that from you, but to fix you, I think that's just way too much. Nobody can handle that amount of pressure put on them but God. So I think it's important to seek God, seek counsel, seek therapy, seek coaching, whatever it is that you need to work through certain traumas. It's important to seek out that help and that counsel, because if you don't do that before getting into a relationship, at least start doing it, then those things are going to come up in the relationship. It's inevitable. It's like you can't bury those things, and you can't just expect them to go away on their own. You have to actually address them head on, or else they're going to come back up in some way. Typically, they come up in ways you don't want. So it's just best to get ahead of certain things, especially if you've dealt with any kind of trauma, any kind of abuse, any kind of, situation that was undesirable. So for me, I can think of so many instances where I may have started dating someone and like very quickly I realized that, this person, they're not really looking for love. They're not really looking for a relationship, something to build on. This person is actually really just looking for help. They want someone to talk to. They want someone to listen to their problems or maybe even help them through certain things. And listen, part of my passion and one of my goals is to be a life coach, a counselor. So I love helping people. I'm not against helping anyone, but I think it's unfair to start a relationship with someone with the sole purpose or goal of receiving help from that person. Because like I mentioned earlier, that's too much to put on any one person, really, especially someone that you are just getting to know and you're just starting the relationship. To me is not a good foundation at all. I think it's kind of unfair to expect someone to do that for you. And because I don't like how that feels, I don't want to do that to somebody else. And so I know it's inevitable that sometimes, things you don't expect to come up. And you're not always aware of things that you're dealing with, past hurts and things of that nature. But I mean, like, if you're intentionally starting a relationship, knowing that you're not really in a good place, or you're just, seeking something other than a mutual bond or reciprocal relationship. So yeah, I mean, if you think about it, I'm gonna use this as an example. Say you have a therapist or a counselor, right? These people are trained and they're paid to do what they do. So if you sign up with a therapist, a licensed therapist, you have a set time that you meet with them. It's not, typically you don't just have access to them 24/7 and just, you can just like dump all of your problems on them at any time. It's typically some type of time set, some type of boundary in place, and then you're also paying them a fee, right? And these are people who are trained to handle things like trauma and things of that nature. So if someone like that has certain restrictions and boundaries in place, then why wouldn't you see a person you're in a relationship the same way? Like, I don't want to say it like this, like, make it sound mean, but I think some people see relationships as like free therapy. Like, like I said, there's nothing wrong with talking to people and expressing certain things you're dealing with, especially if you're close to someone. But if you're just like trying to dump all your problems or trying to work through certain things through the other person and you have no intentions of giving at least what you're expecting in return, I think that can kind of fall under selfish. And I think, like I said, it's easy to fall into that sometimes, but I think that it's important to just be aware. So I have to catch myself sometimes too. I think it's a natural thing to want to share experiences that you've been through if you're trying to like build a bond with someone. But the whole point of me mentioning, healing and trauma is so you can just be aware of why you are seeking a relationship. And if that's one of your like main motivations for a relationship, then I think, that's something that should be addressed before you pursue something. Because you can avoid a lot of problems beforehand, if you just are aware of like, okay, why do I want to seek out a relationship or date this particular person? And, if you are someone who likes to help people, sometimes people are just attracted to that aspect of you, and they may not even realize it. They may be attracted to just how kind you are, how good of a listener you are. You may give good advice, and people can just be drawn to that, not realizing that that is just one part of who you are. Like, they don't really know you as a person. They're not really drawn to, other things about you, essentially. So especially if you're someone who's like that, maybe just like pay attention, and watch out for the type of things that people want to talk about and discuss with you. So I think that's on both sides. Just try not to be that person, but also pay attention to people who come into your life and kind of discern like, okay, does this person actually like me? Are they trying to build something serious, or do they just want me for what I can do for them? The second thing that I think relationships are not for are getting your needs met. And this may sound a little counterintuitive, because it's like, well, what do you mean? Like, that's the whole point of a relationship, right? So inevitably, if you're in a healthy relationship, you're going to get some of your needs met. But again, it's just the mindset. Like, I don't want to go into a relationship thinking about what I'm going to get out of it, because that automatically puts me in like kind of a selfish mindset, and I'm already having the wrong focus, because the purpose of a relationship is to give. I'm focused on what I can give to the other person. How can I improve their life? How can I help them? That kind of thing. And if it's a healthy relationship, they're also focused on what they can do for me, how they can help me or make me better. So there's nothing wrong with, having an expectation that your needs will be met. But if you're going into a relationship or dating with the sole focus of, okay, I'm going to have this, and this need met, and that's all you're focused on, there's going to be an imbalance. Because if I'm focused on myself and the other person is focused on their self, nothing gets accomplished, right? Things only start to move forward when both people are focused on each other. Things can move freely. There's a flow there. That's just a universal law. Like, you give and you receive. So yeah. And I think that you're in a healthy space and being ready for a relationship when you have the mindset of, what can I give? What can I help the other person with? To me, that shows more so like, okay, I'm ready to actually pursue relationships. Because if there's some kind of deficit that I have and I'm looking for someone else to fill that, it just shows me that's the area that I need to actually work on for myself. Now, I was gonna kind of talk about like this whole aspect of transactional relationships. That is something that's been floating around the internet for some time now, and it's not really my favorite topic, but I will just say this, because I don't want to get too deep into it. But if you're going into a relationship thinking about what you're going to get, but you don't have the capacity or the desire to give something equal or something higher than that, to me, that's the definition of a transactional relationship. And I don't know. I'm not judging anyone who has this mindset. I think that comes from, like, sometimes we're more in a survival mode in our life. And I think that when you're in that mindset, you tend to approach your relationships a little differently. But I just think that it's odd to expect things from people that you have not built a solid bond with, that you don't have a solid foundation with, because those kind of things come with time. They come with building trust through consistent and equal effort. So to me, that's the only time where you really should ever expect anything. And really, we should give without expecting. But if you were to expect something from someone, it should come after some time has been put into the relationship. And also, like, if you really care about someone, you're automatically going to be looking for where you can give and where you can make their life better. So if that's not your mindset going into like connecting with someone, I would like reassess, okay, like what's my motive here? Like, is it lust? Is it, me trying to reach a goal? Something like that. Just assess your motives, because however the relationship begins, that's typically how it ends. And it's kind of hard. It's not impossible, but it's hard to make a shallow relationship into something that's meaningful and that will last. So like I said, I think a lot of relationship failures can be fixed or they can be fixed before even getting into the relationship. So that's why I'm a huge advocate for just taking your time, because I know sometimes people rush you, especially if you're a certain age. They're like, when are you getting married? Or why are you so lax about finding someone to spend your life with? And I think the reason why you get into a relationship is more important than actually having a relationship, because again, if you don't have a solid foundation, it's not going to last anyway. It's not going to be fulfilling and things of that nature. So I think that's the most important thing. Okay, so that was number 2. Number 3, I think that relationships are not for escaping your current reality. So, and this is something, I have to check myself on as well. I think we all do. If there's something about your life or your current reality that you don't like, I think that, for me at least, I think it's important for me to focus all of my energy on changing my own life, my own circumstances, to where I'm happy alone and I'm content. And I think that's something we should focus on before bringing someone else into our life. Because if you get into a relationship because you're just looking for a distraction or you're looking for an escape from something that you're dealing with, first of all, nobody is going to be able to fill that void. Like, nobody can make you happy if you're not a happy person. And again, I just think it's kind of unfair to expect someone to make you happy, or if you know that you're not where you want to be, to bring someone into that and they're not even getting the best version of you. They're getting a version of you that is not feeling whole, that is not truly happy and content. And that's for anyone. Like, there are different versions of ourselves based on where we are in life. And I'm not saying like, oh, you have to have your whole life together, or, you have to have reached all your goals or have a certain amount of money in your savings. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying you should be in a place where you're actually content. And someone being in your life should be an addition to the contentment and the fulfillment that you already have, because that's something you guys can bond over. You can share that with one another. But if you're both miserable, or if one person is content and the other person is not, you're just going to be constantly dragging that person down, because they're going to be, in a place of positivity with good energy, and you're going to be more so on the side of lack. So, just think about from the other person's perspective. If you were someone who was coming into your life, what would you see from their end? Would it be, a desirable situation? Would someone want to be in close proximity with you, or would they be kind of repelled? And I think that's kind of it's a hard truth, but you have to really assess yourself honestly, because, the other person is going to experience where you actually are, not where you want to be, not where you think you are, not where you pretend to be, but they're going to see you where you actually are. And in addition to that, you tend to attract who you are also. So if you have some voids in your life, or if you're not whole, if you're not in your purpose, things of that nature, then you tend to attract people who are also not whole. So that right there, like having two people who are not whole, that's going to affect the quality of the relationship. So I think these three things are very crucial to just honestly assess within yourself before you even think about bringing somebody into your life. Just assess where you are and assess how a relationship would change that. Would it make it better, or would it make it worse? Would you be giving what you would want to receive, or would you be giving less than that? What is your true motivation for wanting to be in a relationship? And I say this because I've experienced all of those things. Nobody is perfect. If I could go back and probably undo some connections, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't, because you just learn from everything. But I just think a lot of painful experiences can be avoided if everyone honestly assesses themselves before they even start something. So I just think it's so important because, relationships can be very, very beautiful and fulfilling and purpose-driven. I do believe that is a reality for some people. I do believe that is possible. But also there's the flip side where it could be very toxic. It could be even dangerous. From someone who has experienced, being in a toxic relationship. It's not something that I would wish on anyone. I don't recommend it. And I think it's to be avoided at all costs. Seriously. The impact that it can have on you as a person, mentally, physically, financially, all of those things. It's very serious. It's I think that, I don't know, especially in my generation, I think that we just take relationships so lightly. But relationships are one of the biggest single factors that can affect the course of your life. And if you're not careful, if it's about who you bring into your life, but also being the right person. But the two wrong combinations can just create explosions, and that's something that we just want to avoid. I promise you it'll be okay. Like if you have to be single for a while to figure out where you are, to figure out what you want, to address certain patterns that you may have that are unhealthy, or that you're not happy with, I think it's 100% worth it to just focus on that. Because the more you focus inward and you work on yourself, you're gonna attract the right kind of person, the right kind of situation to yourself, because it's who you are. You've done the work. And I know it's easier said than done. I'm not perfect. Sometimes I still, I don't always make the best decisions, but I do my best to learn from everything, whether it's learning something about myself, whether it's just learning about other people. I do my best to just constantly be learning and observing. And I can definitely I can share from a perspective of what not to do because I've done a lot of things that, I think are not the best decisions. Um, but, obviously if you want to learn like what you should do to get a specific result, obviously you want to learn from people who are there already, who have been there. But you can also learn from people who have done the opposite and have not gotten the results that they want. So that's a place where I'm coming from. I like to, try to warn people. Don't go down this path. Don't go down this route. I know it's tempting. I know it may seem like a good decision at the time, but just try to stop and really think about things. And the more honest you can be with yourself, the better. It's probably going to hurt in the moment, but I can pretty much guarantee that it's worth it, and you'll be glad that you did it later down the line. So I hope this has helped someone out there. Hope I'm not just babbling about my experiences, but I really hope that my wisdom can help someone else to just make better decisions or to avoid making the same ones that I have made. So thank you all for listening. I hope you have an amazing night and an amazing week ahead. Remember, you are seen, you are loved, and you are not alone. And also, if you want to continue to follow my lives, I post them on Instagram and I also post them on my YouTube page. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube, you can head on over there at Brianna L. Moore or just Coach Bree. Be sure to subscribe, like, comment, and yeah, I hope to see you all soon. Until next time.